Hi, I'm Katie Chappell. I'm a freelance live illustrator based in the UK. Make work, share work. And it sounds so overly simplistic, but that, at the end of the day, like, that is what marketing is. Like, here's what I do, and doing it again and again and again. I scaled up. I've got a team. I had 3 employees, like salaried employees. I had 24 illustrators on the books to send to different events all over the world, and it's just as stressful as it sounds. Suck it up, be scared, do it anyway.
There is Katie, her story coming up, and it's a heck of a story. It's funny, it sort of starts with this lack of confidence in that she could have been a freelance illustrator, and then this huge curve of success as it really takes off, funnily enough, around the time of the pandemic, and really hasn't stopped. Although there was a moment where she takes on other people's suggestions and builds an agency type model, and it sounds amazing. But getting away from the creativity and into admin does not sound so great for her. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it. I really think you're going to get a lot out of it. Plus, Katie's a lot of good fun as well. Welcome to Being Freelance. I've been doing this podcast for about 11 years now, chatting to creative freelancers from around the world about what it's like being freelance, hence the name. There's also a community that we'd love you to come and join us in. Go to beingfreelance.com for all the details. But yes, as a freelancer myself, I make podcasts and videos as well. So if you want to see the video version of this podcast, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. On Spotify, it's quite cool. You can sort of switch between the two. But either way, enjoy this story as we head to Berwick-upon-Tweed, just literally on the border with Scotland. If you get the train from London to Edinburgh, you go through Berwick-upon-Tweed, and then the sort of train line hugs the coast. It is stunning. It's such a... Don't drive, okay? Get the train and enjoy that trip as you go through Berwick-upon-Tweed. Anyway, that's where she's based. And that's where we're heading now, to chat to this week's guest, find out what it's like being freelance for live illustrator Katie Chappell. Hey, Katie!
Hey, hello, Steve. Thank you for having me.
As ever, how about we get started hearing how you got started being freelance?
Hey, good question. So I've been officially freelance on paper since 2010, I think. But I was still studying for 2 years, so I didn't properly kick it off until 2012. And I'd actually been sacked from my graphic design job. So it was a good start. I was sort of like pushed into it. And in that moment, I was like, you know what, working for other people, not for me. I would much rather, even if it's scary and there's loads of risks and everything, I'd much rather it be my problem than some random person telling me what to do.
So were you trained in illustration or graphic design, or because you were working as a graphic designer?
I was, yeah. I did illustration and graphic design as like a combined degree at Sunderland Uni, and then I was working at a marketing agency in Sunderland. But really, like, illustration was the thing that I wanted to do and what I got really excited about. But it just felt like graphic design was the thing that had a job at the end. It's like a much easier thing to find job in there.
Yes. And had you got any freelance work on the side, or was it, I've lost that job, I'm now just going to go it alone? Like, was there a bridge, or?
Yeah, there was a bridge. So I started doing freelancey bits. Well, I was teaching guitar before I even went to uni. So I was freelance doing that on the side of everything else. And then, I'd get the odd job. I remember there was one of my friends did a psychology thing about tattoos, and they needed illustrations of people with some tattoos, people with loads of tattoos. So that was one of my first ever paid jobs, which kind of kicked things off. And I was doing little bits and pieces for random newspapers that needed layout design, and I worked for a card company. So it wasn't like off at the deep end into freelance. It was more like I'd been easing into it gently, but then I suddenly was like, okay, we need to like take this seriously now.
So how did you go about that? How were you getting your clients?
I mean, I'll be honest, I sucked at first. Like, really, I always had another job. I was working in Lush selling bath bombs mostly. That was my main job. So I'd work there 4 days a week, and then 3 days a week I'd be freelancing. I had like a hot desk in a studio. I think it was £12 a week or a month. It was really cheap. Yeah, I was like, wow, so good. I had no idea how good it was. I was like, this is so expensive. Like, what? And I didn't really know about marketing yet. And that was a big thing. Because if you don't know, you don't know. And I was just like, you just get jobs if you're really good at what you do, and if you do a really good job, magically jobs will arrive. And to some extent, obviously, doing a good job does work like that a bit, because word of mouth and people recommend you. And if you get, like, I think I got one illustration job in Newcastle Uni, and then got loads of jobs off the back of that, because academics all talk to each other. But yeah, I wasn't really hot on the old marketing front until I didn't give up. I just thought, you know what, this is too hard. I can't do working 7 days a week, with the retail and the freelancing. So I sort of packed it all in and became a nanny and went around. I was in Italy to start with, and then I was in Germany working for different families. And I always kept a sketchbook going in that time, but I was like, you know what, freelancing is too hard. I can't make it work. Never mind. I'll just look after kids instead.
Wow. With your guitar still in tow, like Maria von
Yeah, I
Trapp?
think I sacked off the guitar as well by that point. But
Wow.
yeah, that was a good way to sort of, I don't know, really realise that I did want to do it and I missed it.
Gotcha. Okay, so actually looking after other people's kids made you think, no, actually I did like drawing.
Yes, exactly.
So how long did you do that? How long was that break for? And was it a proper break, or were you doing stuff remotely?
It was 5 years and I was doing stuff remotely, but it wasn't enough, like, sprinkling of income to beat anything. Like, I think I looked back on my tax returns and it was like £600 for a whole year and £1,000, which, yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but it was better than nothing, and it meant I kept my hand in. But yeah, it was 5 years, and I saved up all my nanny money, left my final nanny job. I went to Thailand and Southeast Asia backpacking with all my nanny money, and I was like, this is cool. And I started doing a 100-day project where I drew every single day and shared it on Instagram. And that really got me into the habit of making work and sharing work, because that was something that I'd been really sporadic with before. And it was so good to just make stuff that wasn't specifically like, I was just doing it for myself, and it was fun because I was travelling. But I think that helped to kind of, firstly, grow my portfolio because I was making loads of new work. Secondly, grow my following a wee bit. I had like less than 2,000 followers in them days. Now I tell people when they ask for like career advice, I'm like, make work, share work. And it sounds so overly simplistic, but that, at the end of the day, like, that is what marketing is. Like, just, here's what I do. I do this thing. Look at the thing. And doing it again and again and again. And it can feel so repetitive because we're so sensitive to sharing our own work, right? And that's something that I really had to get over.
So you're in Thailand, so that's kind of like a travelling experience this time.
Yeah.
But you're doing this 100-day project. So what year is this?
This will be 2015. Oh, 16. Very early 2016. And all my friends were getting married. So I was like, I'm going to have to go home and like go to all these weddings, whatever. So I went home. And while I was there, I thought, you know what? I still really want to be an illustrator. Like, maybe if I do a master's, that will be the magical piece of paper that gets me to be a real illustrator that like makes a living from it. And in hindsight, I'm like, what was I thinking? But there's something about like the psychology of like taking it seriously and being like, no, like, really, I'm 27, I'm so old, like I'm gonna do it now. And I really put everything into it. Like, I did this master's degree at Edinburgh College of Art and went like head first into illustration, and also was thinking more with a commercial brain as well. Whereas when I'd done my undergrad, I was just like, this is cool, I love drawing. And I hadn't thought about like, how will I pay my rent? So it was good to go in with that lens of real life and knowing how much life cost. The price of cheese shocked me when I left home, like that sort of thing. Like, so yeah, if you're looking at £3.50 for a good block of cheddar,
Right.
we eat a lot of cheese, so we've got to be thinking about that when pricing and things.
So what, 2016, you do an MA. Off the back of that, did you then say, right, that's it, I'm a freelance illustrator, this is what I do, let's bring in the cheese money?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I wish it was that, like, and then everything was fine, but you know how real life goes. So while I was doing that MA, I discovered graphic recording and live illustration, and I was like, interesting. This is a whole thing that I had never heard of before, because I was initially really interested in war artists and like people taking their sketchbooks and paper to the front line and drawing what was going on. And my good friend Nikki Groom had been to the Calais jungle and drawn what was around her, and I was like, that's amazing, just like recording on the spot what is going on in a way that, like, because photos are amazing, but there's something about illustrations and paintings that just communicates so much more. But I didn't want to go to a war zone, and I was like, it's not really my scene. But then I discovered graphic recording, which is kind of like the war artist thing, but in a boardroom, because you're drawing what they're talking about live, you're capturing the essence of what's going on. It's fast and it's a little bit scary. And I was like, I'd love to try that. And while I was studying, an opportunity in the uni came up for, they were doing a sustainability event. And I was like, I'll try. I've never done it, but I've been reading about it and it seems cool. And I've done like live portraits and stuff. So I tried it and loved it. And from then I was like, okay, maybe this is what I want to do, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
There's still been the bridge into, or not the bridge at this point, the jump into then making it your job. So you've figured out maybe make work, share work is a good plan.
Exactly. Make work, share work, get photos of you doing the work, put the photos online.
Right. So, yeah. So what did you do? How did you go? And you've also hit upon a niche of sorts, as in within the field of illustration. So, yeah, how did it evolve? This is 2016 or 2017? It's
still 2016 at this point. Right. So I became a lecturer in illustration, which was another dream because I was like, that would be so cool to be able to teach people. And now because I had a master's, I could. So I was lecturing. It was very part-time, like 1 or 2 days a week max, doing evening things in summer schools and stuff. And I took on another nanny job because I was like, I know how to do that. I know it can pay my rent. So while I was doing those two things, I was also trying to build up the live illustration thing. And I was very conscious of like always having many baskets and many backup plans because I was so scared of, not having enough money, not making it work. And honestly, it took until maybe 2018, 2019 for things to really get going. So it was like 1 or 2, I did maths, 17, 18, like 1 or 2 years of really, go on, we can make this work. And then in 2019, things were getting really busy and I was getting booked to the point where I couldn't really be a lecturer anymore because I was like, oh, thank you for that inquiry. I'm actually at university that day, or like I'm actually supposed to be like picking somebody's kids up from school. So I think I cancelled a couple of things and was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna have to really go into the live illustration thing properly and just suck it up, be scared, do it anyway. So I quit my lecturer job, quit my nanny job. 2020 arrived. So I had all these bookings for 2020, and then on the 16th of March, everything got cancelled, which was a little bit scary because I'd been so like, I will not give up my other jobs. And then I had, so there's this 1 week where my inbox was just like, cancelled, we've cancelled the job, we've postponed it, sorry Katie. And I was just like, what did I do? Like, I'm such an idiot. How did I not predict this thing? Yeah.
And had you quit the lecturing job at that point?
I had. And interesting, actually, because of the pandemic, they wrote to me and they were like, could you come back a little bit? And I was like, yes, I could. Like, a little bit, please. Online, because they needed remote teachers still.
Yeah.
Weirdly, luckily, whatever, fate and everything, a couple of months before, we'd started setting up the Good Ship illustration. And in February, we'd like had the meeting where you properly go incorporate it and make it a thing. And we'd planned to release our first course just as lockdown had been pretty much announced, maybe like a month later. And at the time, I remember we had this chat where we were like, this is the worst time ever to like launch something. Like people have just been told the world's shut down. What are we doing? Oh my goodness. But then we thought, we'll just do it anyway, see what happens. And it just so happened, obviously now in hindsight, everybody was home. So it was the perfect time to release an online course because people were needing anything to distract them from real life, have some creativity and talk to other people, have a community and things. So it worked out really well timing-wise, but we did not plan that.
So we should explain what the Good Ship illustration is, because you said we.
Yeah, we. So it's me and my two friends, Helen Stevens and Tanya Willis, and we started in 2020, just as lockdown kicked off. And we help illustrators and image makers navigate a creative career. We've got a podcast, we've got workshops, we do free things like audio drawing guides, and we also have online courses as well. And yeah, it actually worked out well because everything was cancelled. I had a lot more time again to devote to the Good Ship. And, with anything when you're starting out, it does take a lot of time and energy and like, let's get this going. And at the same time, back to the marketing thing, I put my marketing hat on and I was like, I know these big companies that I've been working for, like the NHS and I don't know, I can't remember who I was working for, big brands. I was like, they're still having meetings. There's no way that this has happened. And they've just thought, well, no meetings, guys. So I just tweaked my messaging and my website to say that I did online events. And also I threw myself headfirst into figuring out how to do online events, like how to share, how to like make it as useful as possible for clients so they could see the illustrations and make it just as good, if not better, than being there in the room with them. And that is when things went bonkers, because it had been kind of busy and a little bit good, and I was like, oh, I've got all these bookings. And then things just went like whoosh. And there was a point where I was getting lots of inquiries every day, which was brilliant. But there was a day where I did like 5 events in one day, and because it was online, I would just like get up really early, log into that event, and then have a snack, and then it'd be time for the next event, and then go until like late in the night because I could do all the time zones. So yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so lockdown happened in March. How long till that upward whoosh? That was an upward whoosh, in case you heard a whoosh and weren't quite sure which direction it went.
Yeah, upward whoosh. I think it was summertime. The real upward whoosh, and like probably into autumn. And then it was December where I got my studio, because I was like, I can't keep doing this from home, because I was like sitting at a dining chair at the dining table, like hunched over like a prawn, like trying to do all these events. So I got an ergonomic chair and a studio outside of the house so that I didn't kill my husband. And that worked out really well. And it kept going as busy as that. But to be honest, it hasn't really stopped, which is mad. I just changed my pricing to slow things down and, got a bit fussier.
So really, I mean, it's not like people can recreate this situation because, let's hope we don't just suddenly have another lockdown. No. But you spotted an opportunity and you changed your messaging really quickly to say, this is what I do now. And people found you because you were kind of ahead of anybody else offering it?
I think so, yeah. And like so now I see loads of people saying, I offer remote illustration because it's a thing. But even working on an iPad when I started out was like really groundbreaking, and I had to explain to clients the benefit of it being immediately digital and all that stuff, because before that everybody just been doing it on big boards, and iPads, like I realised this the other day, they didn't really exist for drawing on. Like that's how recent iPads are. So I feel like it was a combination of those things, and just seeing what clients needed before they knew they needed it, and being like, I could help you.
Yeah, but also back to the good ship illustration. So equally, you had kind of put stuff in place unwittingly before anybody else would have suddenly started to think, oh, this is something we should be doing. So you were ahead there as well.
Yeah, and I think we didn't know what was going to happen and how people were going to react, because Tanya especially was genuinely like, no, like it's not a good time, stop. And she often says that like a metaphor is like me and Helen just chucked her in the boot and was like, we're going, and drove off with her in the boot of the car. But she's come around now, she's not in the boot of the car anymore.
But that has kept going since then. But you mentioned about setting up a company, I think, with them.
Yeah. So the Good Ship Illustration is its own company, which is good because we've all got our own illustration thing going on, which as well I feel is important, because when I was a traditional university lecturer, I could see lecturers that had been there a long time, and I could see it's really comfy. They just kind of don't need to illustrate, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's just how it's been for however long universities have existed. But I didn't really want to slip into that thing of just not doing, like not walking the talk and not knowing what the industry is actually like. Because I feel like, as well, illustration as a traditional university subject, they did cover like commercial stuff and being a freelancer and, here's how to write an invoice and stuff, but they never really went in, because it's its own huge subject, you'll know yourself. Like, you can't really teach it at uni. And it's almost a benefit that they don't, because then if you leave uni with your art school head and then go on to learn about marketing, like, you've got the best of both worlds. But yeah, for the Good Ship, I wanted to be able to help people do the creative bit and do the marketing and the business stuff without me being like, here's my portfolio from the 80s, But I had to,
How did you go about, like working with, I presume, were they friends that you'd met?
Yeah, so they moved to Berwick, and that's how we met.
Oh, wow.
So I was
just out and about, or an illustration thing?
Yeah, like we used to meet for coffee. We had there's a weirdly large percentage of illustrators in Berwick, and we'd all go for a coffee together and meet up at different people's houses and cafes and be chatting. And I think Helen was planning to make a course for years and mentioned this to Tanya. And then I separately mentioned to Tanya, I was like, I'm really thinking of doing like a course or something. And she was like, you do. Like, guys, let's all do this together. Like, it's much better than, doing our own thing. And I'm so glad that, that happened because there's something so much easier about doing stuff when you're not doing it alone.
Did you like have to agree roles and things like that? Like how have you managed working on it together?
We did, like when we started out, we made sure everything was like written down. But to be honest, I think we all work so well together that we kind of get into our roles anyway. And now,
Right.
as time goes on, we've built up a team. So behind the scenes, we've got Claire and Alice who help keep everything organised and help with marketing and stuff. So we can focus on the like having ideas and deciding whether something is a good idea or a bad idea and different plans like that without being bogged down with the admin side. But yeah, it's something I think if anybody was thinking of going into business with friends, I think that's a big important thing to think about because obviously everyone values the friendship before business, and when money comes into it, it could get a bit like tense, but it hasn't. Touch wood.
It's been a while. So, where are we now? Has anything changed that we haven't covered? How has it evolved is probably the right word, because some of that hasn't gone away. You're still doing online events. You've still got the good ship illustration. So, yeah, what's happened in those past 5 years or so?
Yeah, it's been like an interesting evolution. So I was doing live illustration as a freelancer and doing the good ship illustration. Live illustration kept getting busier and busier. So I started working with a couple of friends, being like, can you help? Can you do this job? Like, if there's 2 bookings on one day, I'd send like B, one of my good friends, to do the job, and that worked really well. And then in 2022, I had a baby, and that again, like just having B help out was brilliant. And then I did a British Library business incubator thing, and they were like, this is totally scalable, you should scale, like you just need to have a bigger team and do more events. And I was like, okay, cool, with like a baby on my knee, like that seems fine. Let's totally do that.
The voice I expected from the British Library.
That's how they talk. Yeah.
Is it?
Bye, sell, bigger. So I was just like, cool, that sounds fine. I'll easily do that with a child who's, I mean, like in past me's defence, my baby was a good sleeper and things, so it was fine. And also, I didn't really like having time off and weird like that. I was like, I do really want to do work again. So anyways, I scaled up. I got a team. I had 3 employees, like salaried employees, doing admin bits and organising and helping me create content for the live illustration business. I had 24 illustrators on the books to send to different events all over the world. And it's just as stressful as it sounds. Like at the time I was like, on paper this looks really cool and like amazing, but in my real life I felt bad because my daughter was in nursery more than I wanted her to be. I didn't like having, like I just felt like a full-time emailer. And there was one day, like I was driving home from the studio and this thought crossed my mind. I was like, if I die I wouldn't have to answer any emails. How good would that be? And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, like what? Yes, true, but also there's other ways to email less without having to die. So that was really like a clear sign from my own brain to me, like we need to scale it back. Like this is not working.
So did you have a business name? So it wasn't Katie Chappell Live Illustrator, for example?
Yeah, it became Illustrated Live, so I'd like rebranded. But I think that came later. But yeah, it was like separate from me, even though it was still Katie Chappell. And I made sure that behind the scenes, we'd assign the client an illustrator and be like, here's your illustrator for the event. It's not Katie, but that's okay. And it worked fine, to be honest. We did some really cool events. Like there was a big cruise ship in Florida. Like it had something sustainable about it that we did. And we had different jobs in like New York and Australia. It was crazy and exciting, but it wasn't sustainable. And around the same time, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I felt like that all the things at once. I was just like, this is too many things. I just want simplicity and to be a freelancer again. So late 2024, I was like, right, I'm only doing online events. I don't like having a big team. I've changed from having salaried employees to making them freelancers so that I could say, it'll be probably 10 hours a month, but it might be less if things get quiet, because that was really stressful as well. I felt like if things dropped at all, I was like, we need to get some jobs in because we've got people's wages to pay. Whereas before, I'd been like, if things got quiet, I thought, woohoo, let's book a holiday, let's relax and enjoy myself. But it felt like relentless, and like I had to keep up this certain level of busyness to pay everybody and have enough to pay myself. So it was on, like, once I did all the sums and everything, I was earning about the same, but just with a shit ton more stress.
Right.
So I was like, this is fair enough, like, business. The library was like, you're doing so well. And I was like, I'm dying. So it was, yeah, didn't work.
I mean, you followed their kind of like enthusiasm for, and they weren't wrong. Like,
Yeah,
there
no, they
was
weren't, and it worked. Like, if I hadn't been me, maybe I could still be going and scaling it even further and bigger, more. But I just, yeah.
But that's a crucial thing, isn't it? So at least you recognised, but I am me, and this is somebody else's business. This isn't necessarily what I want to do.
Exactly.
But was that hard to shift that away when you had so much presumably inbound interest wanting to hire you?
It was really hard. And also I felt really bad about disappointing the illustrators that I was not promising jobs to, but I was like, you're on the book, so if a job comes in your area, you can do it. I felt bad disappointing them. Felt bad. It felt like a big step back, and like, what am I doing? But then in January, like you say, I still had this inbound. All the inquiries were still coming in, and I was on Instagram, and I was like, I've got a job in Edinburgh. Does anybody want it? Like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing in person. I'm online only. And about 4 people got back to me, and then one person was like, I think this was like a third job that I'd mentioned that week. They're like, you should start a jobs board. Like, the people, like, well, you're getting all these jobs and you're not doing them. And I was like, interesting. So I set up a jobs board, and that was my 2025 experiment. Just taking the jobs that came in that I couldn't do myself because they weren't online, or they weren't for a client that I wanted to work for, or they were like, their budget didn't quite match my fees or whatever. Put it on the jobs board and set up. It was on Substack, so you pay monthly to like read the posts. And I set up like a Google form if you do it, and then the Google form goes to the client, and it's up to the client to do what they want with that Google form. And that was, my big experiment of last year.
So there's the word experiment there.
Yeah.
How did that experiment go?
I mean, so if I put my like rose tinted glasses on, it was cool. Like, people got really interesting jobs from it. I had lots of people being like, this is amazing, thank you so much. And for the people that pay like £7 a month and got a $13,000 job, amazing. However, there was also a lot of backlash online mainly, and people saying that it's not ethical to charge people to apply to jobs. I think it's a lot of people didn't understand that it was it's very niche illustration, and it is my actual inquiries that I'm just sharing. Like, people, I think, thought I was like scraping random jobs and then charging people to apply. I don't know. But anyways, there was a lot of like, how dare you, you're a gatekeeper, you're a white lady with too much power, like, you bad, you're doing this. Yeah. And it really got to me, to be honest, because I was like, I'm just sharing my spare jobs, I'm sorry. Like, and also when I did the maths of it, I worked out that after I'd paid my taxes and everything and had my assistant run it, it was bringing in like £3,000, but at the end of the day, like £300 was left as profit. And I was like, is it worth all the hassle of people like telling me I'm such a bad person for this amount of money? Whereas before, I could have just done the jobs and got on with it, like done a couple of jobs and made more, and then had a peaceful life. But yeah, that was my review in January, and I've been working with a brilliant strategy lady in Edinburgh called Gemma Rathor at Meraki Concept Studios, and she's like a genius. So she's helping me reframe it and rethink about it, and maybe even move it from Substack potentially. But that's all in the works yet. I don't really know how it will look next.
Oh, I'm sorry you got a backlash from it. The internet's a wild place in that respect.
It is.
And it's always those voices that we hear more, or listen to more, maybe. But But these jobs, this influx of jobs, which kind of created a sort of agency at one point, and then created a jobs board. Those are coming to you from word of mouth and like SEO on your website, are they?
Exactly, yeah. It's word of mouth, SEO, returning clients. People have seen my work at an event, or their friend of a friend has seen my work at an event. So yeah, basically the inquiries are coming in because I've done a shit ton of marketing for like a decade now, which I think people also didn't understand. The people that were very angry with me about the jobs board. And the annoying thing as well, like with my brain, I can see their point. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, it's shit. Like, you're right. They should be contacting you, but because of the way marketing works and the internet works, they've seen my website first, so they got in touch with me. And like, that's me not having a website isn't gonna help people, so I might as well share the jobs. And also, I feel like if I shared them freely, people wouldn't appreciate it. Way too many people would apply, so the client would be pissed off. The people, I don't know, it's just like, it feels like there's no way to please everybody, and I'm kind of getting over that now, I think.
Yes. The clients don't want you to share them freely. They're coming to you.
Yeah, and actually the clients are really, they're saying, could you recommend somebody? Which is something that I'm trying to figure out, like, is there a way that I can...
But you are still doing live illustration, but you made the decision to do it online only.
Yes. So last year I was like, online only. This year I'm thinking of trialing doing one job per month. So one in-person job or 2 online jobs, because I feel like my daughter's a little bit older. Sometimes she can come with me, even if it's a short job, and then we can hang out in wherever it is. And one job a month honestly feels like a nice amount of admin. I don't need a big team behind the scenes to help me organise everything. And oh my God, I can give them that like one-to-one attention. And it also means that I'll have plenty of jobs left to give on the jobs board if I'm doing one a month.
Yeah. Quick break. When we come back, Katie tells us how she got out of her inbox. Really nice detailed chat about what it's been like working with an assistant. We talk about pricing, all sorts of things. It's well worth sticking around for. And of course, her 2 truths and a lie game. First though, just want to tell you, if you are a freelance creative, you're enjoying this and you want to get more from Being Freelance, head to beingfreelance.com, as well as the course for new freelancers, the community, so that you can surround yourself with other people who get what it's like. You can also sign up for the newsletter. Please do it. You know the drill with emails, right? You can always unsubscribe, but loads of people like it. I hope you will too. You get regular stories and inspiration to help you with your freelance business. Insightful. Some people have accused it of being humorous, others say. And of course, you also get updates for when there's new episodes of the podcast as well. So put your name in the box at beingfreelance.com. Right now, let's get back to Katie's story. So at one point you had actual, literal, proper grown-up staff. You changed that back to freelance assistants. So who do you have helping you today? One assistant?
One assistant now, yeah.
Right.
It's a nice amount. And I've worked with Emma since 2020. So we go way back, maybe even 2019. We've spoken on the phone twice in that whole 6 or 7 years, because it's email and WhatsApp all the time, and she's brilliant. She just does stuff without me having to even ask usually, which is amazing.
So what sort of stuff does she take care of for you?
She organises my inbox, so I know what I need to reply to and what it's just for me to go, yes, delete or archive. And then she'll reply to clients with a quote sometimes, or she'll send them like my booking link for a call. She also does the follow-ups, which is something that I knew I had to do, but I just had too much, I was too attached. So if a client gets in touch 2 weeks later being like, "Cooey, you emailed me, do you want to go ahead?" Like that. For me,
that
it was
kind of
totally
follow-up.
terrifying. Yeah, but that kind of follow-up, she does that, and that's brilliant because it saves me from even knowing it's happening. So if they reply being like, "No, you're too expensive," I don't even know that happened. I'm just living my life, having a good time, not being depressed about somebody's opinion.
Wow. Well, that sounds helpful.
It is helpful, yeah. And it was one of the first, after a bookkeeper, it was one of the first expenses in my business and was totally worth it because she's a virtual assistant. So in my inbox, helping me plan stuff, keeping a track of what everything's up to. Yeah, but when I started out with her, I was able to pick, I think I did like 5 hours a month. It was the retainer, and that's all I needed back then. And that was brilliant just because it meant that, oh yeah, blog posts. She nudges me for blog content. And if she wasn't doing that, I would never do it. It's too boring.
Right.
I'd be like, I don't need to blog. But she's like, come on, it's blog time. Send me some stuff so I can put it on your website.
So they are able to send a quote on your behalf sometimes.
Yes.
So that suggests that you've really got nicely defined packages, I'm imagining.
Exactly. And that was also a big game changer because, I don't know, if you're anything like me, the client gets in touch, I get like, oh my God, a client got in touch, this is so exciting, what's the company? Like looking them up, blah, blah, blah. And then I would get so in my head about like who they were and maybe I'll give them a discount. They seem cool, like I really want to work for them, I'll give them a discount. And then, but because, as soon as I set up a pricing menu and told Emma what I generally say to people, and she just tells them the price, that was like so good. And honestly, whenever I am naughty and get in my own inbox again, she's like, you've given them the wrong price. Like, what are you doing? Get out, it's my job. Like, that's not the price. I'm like, okay, I just really wanted to work for them. Like, so she's good at kind of standardizing things and also making sure everybody gets the good service rather than super excited, enthusiastic Katie one day or overwhelmed Katie that can't reply to emails ghosting you for 2 weeks. You get like consistent, calm Emma.
Yes,
much preferable.
And they're signed as they're from Emma, are they?
Yes, and actually that's something she was like, maybe I need my own email address, and I've just been putting it off because people will reply like, thanks, Katie, and even though it says from Emma, because people just see my email address and name on there, which is not ideal.
Well, I love that that's worked out. So so when it came to pricing, have you, I don't know, have you had any great revelations over the past few years as you've been figuring out what you should charge for what you do?
Yeah, so this is one of the things, when I started out, I think it was like, I was charging £150 an hour. And for me, as a nanny who's getting £10 an hour, 150, I was like, oh my God, I'm a bajillionaire. Like, this is incredible. And for events work, that is really low, I now know. But it took me a while, so I started there and everybody immediately was like, yes, but you're booked. And that's why I was so busy. So then to calm things down, I put it up and just kept doing that over the years. So it would be like, this is my price. Everybody's saying yes. And then I upped it and then maybe like 20% of people would say no. And now I think I've got it to a point where like, it's so hard to know because I feel like by the time people get in touch, I've already weeded out the people that don't want to work with me. If that makes sense.
Because the price is on the website.
Because the price is on the website, yeah. Like it's, right. I don't make it a secret. I feel like for me, when I buy something, I want to know how much it costs. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to be like, how much is it? What's it like? And I don't want to get into that. What's your budget? What's the price? Argument. Now I've worked up to the point where it's 3,000 a day, and that means, yeah, like one job a month is lovely, and there's lots of jobs for the jobs board, and it also means the jobs that I share on the jobs board, those clients are kind of ready to pay more. They're not like the tire kicker ones that will be like, oh, it's in London and the day rate's £250, and you're like, could you live illustrate for 7 hours for £250? I mean, you could maybe if you were starting out, but you'd be exhausted, and long-term sustainability of your body and life, it's not doable. Like, especially if it's in person, it takes me like a week to recover from an in-person job.
Yeah, if you're doing illustration for like 7 hours, which is the sort of thing where you're listening to what people are saying, and then it's kind of like a mix between illustrating and making notes.
Yeah, it's basically making visual notes. And there's also a lot of pre-work. There's lots of briefing calls with the client. There's lots of to and fro to get all their branding and their colours and the agenda, and then drawing all the titles beforehand and planning it out. And then even afterwards, there's tweaks because you might have spelled somebody's surname wrong, or you might have missed out some key point that they really wanted on there. So it's never actually just the time that you're quoting for. It's usually a load of other stuff as well. And I learned that the hard way, like by if you charge £150 an hour, you're actually probably on minimum wage by the time everything's done because you've had to travel to the event and do all the stuff. And yeah, that incremental upgrade thing, though, of upgrading the price to calm down the inquiries and match it with my level of reputation as well, because as I worked for bigger clients like Google and Apple, and that helped obviously with, what's the word I'm thinking of? Credibility, that's the one. People thought, if that company's worked with her, then she must be all right. And I think that's something that people forget about as well. And they see it and they're like, oh, I'm just immediately going to charge loads of money. It's fun. I find the conversation so tricky because my advice to live illustrators starting out is that £200 an hour is the absolute minimum anybody should be charging. And then you can work up from there as your credibility and your experience improve. And yeah, I've been secretly behind the scenes on a mission to teach AI this. If you ask AI how much is graphic recording, it's learning. I'm teaching it. I'm like, it should be £200 an hour.
That is genius. Yeah. So that both illustrators and potential clients aren't getting a low ball offer from AI answers.
Exactly, because when I was first asking it, it was telling me nonsense, and I was like, no, it's not true. So I've been publishing it on my website, slipping it into different places, and it's slowly but surely catching up.
Well, I'm applauding you. I'm not literally. I will. I
might as well make AI make things better for illustrators rather than totally stuffing up the whole industry.
Yes. So, have we covered where we are today, all of the, I guess, income streams, the various routes?
I think so, yeah. Good ship, live illustration. I sometimes do non-live illustration, but I just bucket it all as illustration work. And I've just started working with Adobe on a regular basis, so that's another one. I did do, have you heard of Rebel Finance School?
No.
It's so good. It's free. It's totally free. But I did it last year, so I'm also obsessed with investing now as well. And it's not really an income, but I feel like interest in things. I wish I could just casually get interested in things, but I get obsessed with things and completely try and learn all of the stuff. So that's where I am right now.
Which suggests that you're really thinking about your future as well.
Yes. And I think because there's been times in my life where I've had absolutely no money, maxed out credit cards, there's always part of me that's like, I never want to go back to that. Everything could just go upside down and I wouldn't. So I'm very risk averse. Is that the right word? Very cautious about money and things like that.
I'm not sure I would call you risk averse because I think you've taken lots of risks.
Actually, yeah.
But you are thinking of the safety net of the future for sure.
Yes, and especially having a child, I feel like very responsible to make sure she's okay and my husband's okay, and yeah, I don't want to be silly with it.
Yeah.
Was it make hay while the sun shines and that? I'm like, things are going well now, but I will plan for later, just because you never know what's going to happen. I think 2020 showed us all that. You never know what's going to happen, so you might as well not brace yourself, just be strategic and organised.
Yes. And how would you think about work-life balance? Maybe today, but also perhaps in the past.
Yeah, that's such a big one because that's what really, when I was scaling as an agency, Illustrated Live, having lots of people working for me, work-life balance just went out the window. I was so stressed out. I thought about it. I think about it all the time anyway, but I was thinking about it more than I like to. And the combination of that, as well as long nursery hours, I went on holiday and felt like I couldn't switch off at all, and emergencies were happening, and I was like it was awful, no work-life balance. Whereas now, running the jobs board, because I know Emma's she does that, she uploads jobs as well. I've got a decision tree, so she picks if it's a jobs board job or a Katie job, and she puts it on. So I could actually now go away and enjoy myself, and the world wouldn't fall apart. There wouldn't be any emergencies that couldn't wait a week. Because it's drawn pictures, and I was like, it's not actually an emergency. Draw a picture. Come on, guys. It's really not that important.
That would be a great auto response on an email. It's drawing pictures.
Yeah.
It's
not a brain surgery. Won't die. But yeah, now I don't work Fridays. My daughter finishes school at 3:15 and I pick her up most days. It's just a half day on a Friday. So yeah, but I have it's such a short window of time, the school hours. But I
Oh
feel
my
a
gosh,
good,
yeah.
yeah, it's like you blink and it's 1 p.m. But I feel like that is a really good thing, because otherwise, left to my own devices, without the boundaries of school time, I will just work all day and think about work all night and be researching things. And I do my own head in, to be honest, because I get like I said, I can never just be casually interested in something. I've got to be like completely obsessed with it and have it take over everything. So school is a good buffer, and being forced to go to the park or go for a walk or, go to birthday parties at the weekend. Oh my god, birthday parties though. Um oh, that's actually worse. I don't want to go to birthday parties. No offense to birthday parties, but yeah, work life balance. I think having a child forces you to
Yes.
have more balance.
Okay, Katie, I always do this thing where I ask for 3 facts about yourself to make 2 true, 1 a lie. Let me figure out the lie. What do you have for me?
I used to cry in the toilets before live events because I was so nervous. That's one. The second one is I've earned more than £100,000 a year just from illustration. And the third one, I was banned from a live conference after refusing to tone down my drawings.
Okay, so crying in the... Well, I can imagine getting nervous before an event, except that, you had done live stuff, like you'd lectured, for example, like you'd taught guitar, like you were perhaps used to being in front of people. Oh, I don't know. Is that then 100k a year? I mean, you've talked about how you were working all hours, not necessarily that you liked it. Like, it sounds like things have really come your way. So that, and especially if you were working online, so you didn't have to travel everywhere. That's, cutting down your expenses. That sounds possible. But getting thrown out.
That is revenue as well, so that'd be before expenses and things.
Oh right, okay.
So
Well,
that
even more.
changes things.
Okay, even more so. But why did they throw you out of an event? Like, what was wrong with you? What on earth had you drawn on the drawings that they wanted to get rid of you, and you wouldn't turn? Like, what was it?
Too many weird things on there. Because sometimes to spice it up a bit, you might draw like a snail crawling around, and sometimes it's too many animals. In a very serious business conference illustration.
Okay, they asked you to tone it down, but you didn't say no.
Stuck to my guns.
Oh no, do you know what? I don't believe that. I don't think you would have been thrown out of an event for refusing to tone down your drawings, because I think you're a professional, and if they really wanted fewer snails, you would have probably just gone, fine, it's your loss, the snails are awesome. I think the only reason maybe you would refuse to change something on a drawing if it was like, based around some kind of values where suddenly they wanted nothing but white men in suits, please, on our drawing instead of snails. Yeah, that's the lie.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I have been asked to remove snails, and I did remove the snails. I didn't stick with it.
There you go. You would. It's not worth losing a job over, is it?
No,
to
I was like,
remove
I'll remove the snail and I'll post it on Instagram instead. Ha!
I love that phrase you said earlier. Like, marketing is easy. Make work, share work. Although I feel like there's probably more to it than that when the SEO of your website has obviously done so well. What would you say has worked well for you in terms of marketing?
Definitely. I know you mentioned the word niche early on in this chat, like finding a niche. And I know the word niche has a lot of like, oh, people get really like, I don't want one. But you can change it to just like, what problem does your client have that you can solve, and make it so easy to be like, plug in, this is the answer, I have it. Whereas when I was just a generic illustrator drawing anything for anyone, it was so much harder. I made my life so much more difficult because I didn't have a clear, I can help you do this, or like, I will do this for you. Ta-da! You don't have to think of it as a niche. I think that's an important thing. Just knowing, it's like the Venn diagram, isn't it? Like finding people who need the thing and can afford to pay for the thing. That one's important. So people need a thing done, they can afford to pay for the thing to be done, and they know you exist. So it's like you've got to tell them you exist and how much it costs and what you'll do for them. And then it's like, okay, cool. And I think one of the best business lessons I ever had was when I was getting married, trying to find a caterer. And I was like, I have no idea how much catering at a wedding should cost. Like, I have no clue. And I went to a couple of caterers and I was like, I'm getting married, there's 20 people. And they're like, what's your budget? And I was like, I don't know. I just need to feed people at my wedding. Like, will you help me? And they were like, yeah, but what's your budget though? And I was like, just give me, like, tell me how much it costs and I will pay you. Like, there's that. And I feel like a lot of event organisers are like, I've seen this live illustration thing or whatever, it seems cool, how much is it? And you're telling them how much it is. Like, if like a wedding photographer, like if you get photos at your wedding, it costs thousands of pounds, but you're just like, yes, my wedding, I want a good photographer. And you choose somebody whose style you like and you like them because they're going to be with you all day. It's all that. So you're getting married is a brilliant business lesson.
Nice. And you also mentioned the 100-day project that you were doing when you were in Thailand. Do you still create for your own, like, are you regularly posting your own stuff, maybe using side projects as part of that?
Not so much. And that's a sad thing, I think. Like right now in where I am in life, I don't have very much fun side project energy. So I have started knitting again, and I feel like that's like creativity comes out somehow. So that's where I'm knitting a lot. And I just ordered a load of Japanese stationery because I want to do I got like a nice fancy planner with really thin paper and posh pens. But it's not because I joined a comics book class last year or the year before, and to finish 7 hours drawing at an event and then be like, off to comics class to draw some pictures. Like, I was not having fun because it's like a busman's holiday drawing for fun. So maybe this year when I'm doing one job a month, that will help because I'll have drawing energy left over. Fingers crossed.
Katie, it's been so good chatting to you. Make sure you check out what Katie's up to and also the Good Ship illustration. There'll be links, of course, wherever I've posted this in the show notes, on the website, in the podcast app itself. You usually find all of that stuff as well. In fact, have you seen Apple Podcasts has started doing a thing where it'll hear me saying the Good Ship illustration, or you, and then it will link to your podcast if it's clever enough. Yeah, I put out one the other week where I mentioned Melanie Paget Powers, and then I said she hosts the Deliberate Freelancer podcast. I swear I probably only said it once, and there it was automatically in the Apple Podcasts feed. I was quite impressed. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So Apple, if you're listening, it was the Good Ship illustration.
There we go. Hopefully that'll work. That was really clear.
Katie, it's been an absolute joy chatting to you. Thank you for taking the time, and all the best being freelance.
Yeah, thank you.
How good was Katie? Thank you so much, Katie, for your time. Do check out the Good Ship illustration. Really nice podcast. Yes, okay, it's aimed at illustrators, but I really enjoyed it, and I think any creative freelancers, there's a lot of common ground in there. They're pretty short episodes, 15 minutes to 25 minutes, something like that. Just a really lovely conversation. The sound of the sea in there as well. That's the Good Ship illustration. There'll be a link in the show notes. Okay, by the way, thank you so much for all the lovely comments about last week's episode, which was a little bit different. It was all about planning, taking, I guess, 5 or 6 maybe freelancers who I've spoken to on the podcast before, putting them together. If you haven't caught it yet, do go back, listen to it. Loads of people got in touch to say that they had opened their diary and started making a difference, putting time in for their business, which was really cool to hear. So go back in the feed, find that episode if you haven't already, and off the back of the feedback that I got, I'm going to try more of those short kind of almost audio blog posty ones as well, so more of those to come, more interviews as well of what it's like being freelance, and you'll always find me hanging out on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and of course in the Being Freelance community. Come find us. We are at beingfreelance.com. Alright, I'll see you for another one of these very soon. In the meantime, you have a great week being freelance.